a good win for us on the road. Anytime you can go on the road and get a conference win, it's something that you can build off of. We needed it. I thought our guys did a nice job hanging together, faced some adversity early, some of that obviously that we caused, but that being said, I thought our defense played outstanding throughout the night. I think offensively finally got a little bit on track. Proud of our offensive line and our running backs with the opportunity to get the running game going a little bit. It was good to see that. Needed it. I thought all those backs contributed. Obviously, Deneric had an outstanding game. I'd be remiss not to talk about the way our defense played and, the things that they did throughout the night, as well as talking about Keelan Stokes and breaking the record here as the all-time leading receiver. What a tremendous feat. There's a lot of unbelievable names on that list. That being said, Howard Twilley being at the top of it, just a legend in himself and throughout his career. And so happy for Keelan and his accomplishment there. I think he'd be the first one to tell you it's not just about him, it's about the team and all the guys that kind of contributed to that. But proud of him and the accomplishments that he made there. Got an unbelievable opponent. We've had some great games with SMU throughout the years. They all come down to the wire. They're always very physical type games. These two teams have been in the same conference for a lot of different years, so there's a good respect and rivalry on both sides, I believe. Rhett's done an incredible job there. Obviously was the offensive coordinator a couple of years ago, now back as the head coach. Known him for a good little bit, have great respect for what he does and how he does it. But it should be a great game with homecoming and all the festivities going on. Excited about that part of it, but we know we have a job to do, and that takes place on Saturday. So our guys have got to have a great week of work. We got a lot of things to improve upon and a lot of things to get better for, but should be a great game on Saturday.
In this rivalry and some of the crazy games, underdogs winning, games being close, some of it predates you, but for your tenure here, all the games have been close. Can you put your finger on why that is?
Again, I think these two teams have great respect for each other, but they've been in the same conference for a long time. And I think there's a natural rivalry that takes place there. Whether we want to talk about it or not, I think that's there. And so anytime you're in those type of rivalry type games, I think they're always close. I think you can throw the records out. This is one of the few times it's kind of been records are the same, kind of coming into it, looking at each other. Generally speaking, it's been one or the other has been a little bit better season up to this point and got a little bit more substantial lead to it. But then you get to the game, it's always a dogfight, and it comes down to the wire. I don't expect anything different this year.
And I know you have different schemes, but if you look at the numbers, I don't even know how much you pay attention to this, but if it's total yards, rushing yards, pass yards, and then they're all really close. Like you guys look almost like mirror images, at least statistically. Do you see these teams as just closer than usual, even just in terms of overall strength, if you will?
Yeah, I really do, and really in all three phases as you look at it. They've done some really good things on defense, like we have. You look at what they've done production-wise offensively, it's very similar. And so I think this is a very, very close matchup, and I think there'll be a lot of back and forth in this one from the standpoint. I'm not saying points or not points. I'm just saying it's going to be a hard-fought contest. It should be a really good college football Saturday afternoon.
And then in terms of receivers, they have Rashee Rice. It's statistically identical, to Keelan. In terms of your defense getting prepared for this SMU passing attack, does that maybe help give your defensive backs an advantage going up against a Rashee Rice caliber player each week?
Yeah, I hope so. Rasheed's a good player and has been a good player for them for a lot of years. Obviously, he's having a fantastic year right now. It is kind of ironic that he and Keelan, have the exact same numbers. I think it's, Bruce, we said last night, 802 or 804, something like that, and 4 touchdowns, which is kind of ironic. He plays a little bit more outside. Keelan plays a little bit more inside for us. But both of them are tremendous players. I think defensively, we understand we can't allow the explosive plays to happen from SMU. They've done a really good job of that throughout this year. The games that they've struggled, and those have been few, right? But obviously their explosive plays have been a little bit more minimal. So we got to do a good job of that. Our defense understands that. Doesn't change for us week in, week out. We know that's a big key to it. But this week in particular, I think it really becomes a key point for us.
I know you don't put too much stock in just one game, but getting that victory last weekend, snapping that 3-game skid, have you noticed, I don't know, a different vibe with your team? What's that meant to the season going forward?
Well, I think our team has been resilient throughout my years here, right? And, you're going to face adversity throughout the year. I think it obviously is a good omen for us when you go on the road and get a good win. We needed it. I think it was good for us to have to battle for it, and understanding that as you get into this conference, and now we've been in it for a while, this is conference play. It comes down to making plays. It comes down to close ball games. That play may happen in the first quarter or the fourth quarter. But as you look over the history, especially here for us, conference games are all tight and they're all battles. And so our team understands that and goes into every game knowing, being prepared for that situation to happen.
What do you do as a head coach to make that win the start of something, not just a one-off, but the building of momentum?
Well, we talked about it last week. We talked about it after the end of the game. We talked about it in our Sunday team meeting. It's stacking good days on top of good days, good weeks on top of good weeks, and good wins on top of good wins, and you can't start a streak without one. And so for our point right now, we know we're in the second half of the season. Every game is vital. Every game is important. And we got to be prepared because we know what we're getting ourselves into. But we got to use the momentum that we have, and we got to continue to work and generate and get better each and every week. And I think that's where our teams have done a good job of in the past, is every week we're still making strides and getting better.
I know homecoming coming up this week. I know it's special for fans and alumni. Does it mean something special for the team, or does it have any effect on you guys for the game?
Well, it does, but from the standpoint of, the alumni coming back, but a lot of our former players coming back and getting an opportunity to see those guys and to get to hug their necks and say hello and see how they're doing and what's going on in their lives and all that part of it. For us, the tough thing is staying focused on what we're supposed to stay focused on, right? And we talked about that again in our team meeting on Sunday, is really homecoming is for everybody else coming back. You get to enjoy homecoming when you're graduated and done, and we'll go over to the bonfire part of it. We've done that since I've been here. But our job is to go out on Saturday and get a big homecoming win. And that's got to be our focus, and we can't get distracted by anything else.
Do your guys, would you say they dislike SMU? You had mentioned respect. I just kind of, what's the flavor of this thing now that you've been through it several times? And
Yeah, there's a mutual respect and a mutual wanting to get after each other type in this game, and it's always been that way. And really, when you think about it, us, SMU, and Houston, we've been in the same conferences for a lot of those years, and I've been on the other side of it too. So I think there's a mutual respect, and I think guys always play up in this game, and that's why I think you can throw the records out, because they're going to show up and play, and they're going to have a lot of juice about them, and I feel like our team will do the same.
SMU's, backup quarterback, Stone came in, led 2 touchdown drives late against a strong Cincinnati defense. Are you guys preparing for both quarterbacks? I know you're familiar with Mordecai, but I mean, what's the protocol this week for both?
Yeah, we'll be preparing for both, but I really think Tanner will be back. Stone is a very highly rated quarterback coming out of high school. He can hurt you with his feet. He's got a great arm. He's got a good understanding of what they're doing offensively. Obviously doesn't have the experience that Mordecai's got, but very talented, and I know they have faith in him. You know, when Rhett got there in the spring, it was an open competition type thing at quarterback. And so I know he got a lot of reps throughout that and through fall camp. And so you know he's prepared and ready and just waiting on his opportunity to step in and go. He came in and I thought played extremely well in that second half there that he got in. So we've got to be prepared for both. I think they're very similar type quarterbacks, though. Both of them, I mean, you watch Mordecai, I mean, he can extend plays. He can pull it down and run and do some things with his leg, and he's got much better speed than what people give him credit for. But he does want to throw it more, right? Where I think right now Stone probably, if you give him the option, he gets outside the pocket. He's going to keep his eyes down the field, but he doesn't mind pulling it down and going a little quicker than what Mordecai does. So I think they're still very similar styles and brands of quarterbacks. So, but we have to be prepared for both.
Do you have any injury updates? Anderson, Davis, Solomon?
I mean, everybody at this point is day to day. I think Solomon will be fine. I think Davis will be fine. And we'll just see how the week goes with the rest of those guys. But, you know, everybody's banged up right now. And, you know, some of them are banged up to the point where they probably won't be able to play this week. And you got the majority of them are in that mode of, hey, I'm about 85%. And I'm good enough to play and going to step out and go.
For more information, you can visit tulsaworld.com.